I am the most masculine man on the entire globe. I am the alpha, and trust me, there is no doubt about that. In fact, whenever there's a full moon, I leap out of my window. I don't even have time to use the door. I just kind of, I have to get my glass replaced all the time. And I sprint down the street, absolutely bullet it down the street. I look up at the moon and I just howl, and everybody else just clears. They all kind of scatter away, they run away. Why? Because they're the betas. Or actually, it could be because they think I'm retarded. Who knows? I think the topic of today's video is one of the most important topics on this entire channel. There is a difference between feeling like a masculine man and appearing like a masculine man. But although there's a difference, they do kind of interlink, sort of complement the effectiveness of one another. If you feel more masculine, you are going to appear more masculine. And obviously if you appear more masculine, you're gonna feel more masculine. If you look in the mirror, you've got big bulging muscles, probably gonna feel pretty masculine, right? If you're watching this video, you're very likely already on a pretty good self-improvement journey. You very likely already understand what is needed to take you from being just the average guy to a top 1% man. And you're probably on that journey, right? You're probably getting there. On this channel, I teach young men just like yourself who are already on this incredible journey to not just strive for 1%, but to strive for 0.1%. How we go from being a top 1% man to a top 0.1% man is with virtue, becoming a virtuous man. That's exactly what I teach on this channel, so just bear that in mind. I'm selling you my channel. Sure, it's free. It's free to subscribe. Fucking do it if you want to. But I bring that up because in this video, we are gonna be talking about virtue. It's how you feel more masculine. But we're going to start by noticing the two ways that you can appear masculine. The first is very obvious. It's physical appearance. So this is basically anything that is visual. Height, muscles, fucking big fuck off beard, goes all the way down to your toes. To physically appear masculine is very simply to just look masculine. It's just looking manly, basically. The second, however, is your social appearance. When you sort of socially appear masculine, this means your actions, your behaviors, your mannerisms, they're all coming across as masculine. All of these behaviors and these mannerisms and these actions, they're all appearing as masculine to other people. So here's how these two work together in real life. Your physical appearance is always going to be the first impression, the very first. It's always going to come before the social appearance. For example, like a woman seeing like your face, your body on a dating app, or some guy that you're about to go and do business with, like him watching you walk over to him and seeing like your posture and like how you're walking, or maybe like how you fit into the suit. Now, except in like very specific cases, physical appearance is always going to be first. It's always going to be the first impression over social appearance. I'm sure you all knew that, but what follows this physical sort of appearance is the much more important, more deeper sort of social appearance. It's how you message this girl after she sees you on the dating app and she like swipes right, or how you sort of communicate with the guy who you're about to do a business sort of deal with. The physical appearance side, so the very first sort of stage of this whole appearing masculine kind of formula scenario, is going to be the most effective before any social appearance. So before any social impression or any social sort of ice has been broken. So this is the muscles, the posture, the clothes, the squinted eyes, the squinted positive canthal tilt eyes, if you're like some little TikTok looks maxer. Where these are going to matter the most is before any social engagement. But as soon as this second sort of stage of impression is taken, so for example the message is sent to the girl, or the hand is shaken of the guy, the social appearance immediately matters more and is immediately going to continue I don't think that makes sense. It immediately matters more, and it's going to continue to matter more from now on. One example that I can think of for this is that there are a lot of jacked up gay guys with big beards as well, right? They look quite masculine. Until any social engagement has sort of happened with these guys, you're gonna look at them and you're gonna think they're quite masculine. You're gonna see the beard, you're gonna see the muscles, and you're gonna think, yeah, this is a masculine man. But you can imagine as soon as you speak to this man, maybe you get a few conversations in, he's gonna start to appear less masculine. Why? Maybe he's got like the stereotypical gay voice or something. The guy doesn't even have to be gay. I just use that because it's an easy one to use. But honestly, most guys in this day and age that are straight, they can appear physically masculine, but then you talk to them in real life and they've got like some squeaky voice or like some you know, like you notice traits, something they say or something, it's like, yeah, you know, you don't see them as more masculine, you kind of respect them less. But then physically they're like huge, they've got like big beard, whatever. Regardless of whether he is gay or not, all of the physical sort of appearance has kind of been out influenced by the social appearance now. Another good example of this actually that I've just thought about would be like older men, so like even like granddads or like older fathers. If you don't know any better, you might look at, you know, an old man and they might appear like undisciplined because of like maybe the physique or whatever. That's kind of like the primal way that we would look at it. And they might seem like gentle and, you know, and like cuddly and cute with like the grey hair, whatever we might sort of think when we first see like some sort of old man. But for some of these older men, especially granddads that are like in their like 60s or 70s, are actually incredibly socially masculine. And so when you break that social ice and you start talking to this man and you realize, you know, you start learning that like he's incredibly disciplined, he's got incredibly strict morals, maybe he's still working hard at the age of 70, maybe he's not even retired or anything, that physical appearance from earlier is going to matter so much less. You've broken the social ice with this man and you've learned that actually he's incredibly masculine man. Because this is the case too. Most of these, like, obviously most of like 60, 70, even 80-year-old guys, they grew up at a very different time. So they are going to be a bit more masculine, but they're not so much going to physically appear masculine, which is, you know, they're 80 years old. All right. They've, you know, find me a jacked up 80-year-old. That's a challenge for you. So just to sort of wrap this section up, what we've concluded so far, or what we've learned, is that there are two ways to appear masculine. First physically, and then socially. Physical is the most effective before any social engagement. Then however you appear socially from there, so after the sort of physical appearance, is going to become the biggest influencer of impression from then on. For the next portion of this understanding, I want to explain somebody's autopilot behaviors. Our autopilot behavior is how we act when we're not consciously thinking about how to act or forcing anything. Unless you're like incredibly insecure and just autistic thinker who like monitors his moves every single day, every second of every single day, to make sure that he acts perfect. I would say 95% of your life, just like a rough, basically a high percentage. I'm pulling numbers out of nowhere, but like just basically a high percentage of your life is going to be spent in this autopilot sort of subconscious, maybe mode. Took me a while to get that word out, I don't know why. That 5%, or, you know, small percentage to whatever percentage like it was in reality, is going to be the times where you sort of, like, you're going on a first date, or you're in some sort of business meeting, you're in some sort of interview, where you're just a bit more alert of your actions and how you behave. Now, because this autopilot mode is absent in things like presence and consciousness, you're going to have very little control over how you act and behave when this social appearance is in play. Sure, you're not going to be on autopilot mode on like the first date or, you know, the very important interview, but what about when these things sort of progress forward? At some point, maybe on another date with this girl down the line, or, you know, another day in the job that you've just had the interview for, or another meeting, you're gonna go into autopilot mode. It's just gonna happen. It's inevitable. You can't fake forever. Your life would become a complete nightmare, to say the least. So we can cross that little cope off. I don't think any of you would have been coping with that anyway, but just in case, cross that off. Sort of humbly accept that around 95% of our life is going to be spent subconsciously. We're gonna be on autopilot mode 95% of our life. At least 95% of our social life. This autopilot mode will cause you to act on the only other two bases there is when presence and consciousness are absent, when they're not there. Those two bases are feelings and self-perception. When presence and consciousness are lacking, we act in accordance to emotion and how we perceive ourselves. This is why the person who feels shame from day to day and other incredibly awful emotions, depression and such, maybe they have a porn addiction, maybe they're lazy and they don't have any money. Socially, they're going to appear quite awkward, quite shy, quite timid, right? You can imagine that the guy who heavily dislikes himself is going to act like he should be disliked. So for men who don't feel masculine, and more importantly, who don't feel positively masculine, like a good man, they don't feel very secure in their discipline to abstain from porn, they don't feel very secure in their work ethic to, you know, not be lazy and actually produce good work. They don't feel secure in their mission and career. These men might have big muscles, fucking long beard, tall, whatever you want to associate physically with being masculine, but they certainly aren't going to socially appear masculine. As I said earlier, they might fake it on the first date or whatever, but sort of as that relationship progresses, they can't keep it up forever, and they'll just sort of, I mean, they don't even have the discipline to keep it up forever. It's kind of like a little loophole, because they could try and keep it up forever, but they don't have the discipline to abstain from porn and to do the work and everything to feel masculine, so they're probably not going to have the discipline also to remain present their entire life. It's just impossible anyway, right? Them going back into autopilot mode will eventually reveal the real social side of them, the less positively masculine and secure side. So what we've learned here is that most of our life will be spent on autopilot mode, whether we like it or not. This autopilot mode works on the basis of both feelings and self-perception due to the absence of consciousness and presence. Most of the social appearances that we give off in our lives, and certainly the healthiest ones, will end up being our feelings and self-perception based autopilot mode. So once we accept that one, social appearance is the most important display of our masculinity, then we can band together, we can use our brain, our little brain cells, and we can come up with some sort of solution to this little predicament. We can conclude that if we just had some way to, you know, alter this autopilot mode, we can live most of our lives, like I said, the 95% or whatever, giving people a very masculine social appearance of ourselves, a masculine influence and impression of ourselves, consistently without having to fake anything. All the while we can keep building muscle, you know, staying fit, working on posture or whatever, to maintain physically looking masculine. So then we get both, because although the physicality matters less when the social ice is broken, it still matters, right? It still matters for maintaining attraction from women. It still matters when it comes to influencing just in general. So if we could just find a way to alter how we act on autopilot mode, what would that entail? What would we have to change there? We would have to change how we feel and how we perceive ourselves. More importantly, on a day-to-day basis, not just once. Because obviously if you're happy and you, oh no, sorry, not happy, if you feel, well yeah, I suppose if you're in a positive mood, and you perceive yourself as good and great and masculine and manly and alpha in a very specific moment, you're going to find it easier to be in a social flow state for that moment. But I'm talking about on a day-to-day basis here. Here's where my field of virtue comes into place. This is what I said at the beginning of the video. I warned you guys. To understand virtue, we first have to understand masculinity. Masculinity is literally just consistency. Genuinely, try and think of this for a second. When you think of a masculine man, you usually think of traits like discipline, you know, hardworking, reliable, dominant, self-regulated, controlled, whatever adjectives you want to throw in. All of these traits can directly be linked to consistency. We wouldn't necessarily call a man who is disciplined just once a masculine man. We wouldn't really call, you know, a man who abstains from porn just once or a few times every now and then a masculine man. We would, however, call the man who is disciplined enough to abstain from porn consistently a masculine man. We would call the man who produces good work very consistently a masculine man. Consistency is absolutely everywhere in masculinity. You can find it in every masculine pattern, whether it's like consistently controlling how you let out your emotions and how you sort of control your emotions, whether it's controlling abstaining from porn, putting your head down and working, everything. We can back this point up by noticing and learning about femininity, which is it's like the polar opposite to masculinity, right? Femininity is a lot of the time very inconsistent, right? Feminine essence is typically inconsistent with emotions. If a woman is very polarized back into a femininity, she's going to be very inconsistent. That's one of the most beautiful parts of feminine women. If you've ever been masculine enough to sort of push a woman back into a femininity, you would have noticed this, because you would have noticed the utter chaos that a feminine woman can bring. This chaos wouldn't be chaos if it wasn't inconsistent. So when we dumb it down, masculinity is just consistently being masculine. Disciplined, hardworking, present, so on, so forth. The single best way to remain being a consistent man in this world is by being a virtuous man. Virtues are a list of values that you follow on a day-to-day basis. They might be different for everyone, but I just want to tell you the 6 that we teach on this channel: humility, temperance, diligence, stewardship, charity, and polarity. The order in which I've said these 6 virtues also have some significance, and I'll tell you why. Humility is first, because I think the very first step of self-improvement is humility anyway. Why are we on self-improvement? Because we kind of acknowledge that we need to improve. That's kind of and you need to be a little bit humble to acknowledge that you need to improve, right? The opposite to that would be just believing that you're perfect, or what, like, oh, we're all let's all just enjoy ourselves and do whatever we want all the time, that's still proud, because that's like, what are you then? Are you God? You don't deserve to just do whatever you want all the time. Why should you be able to do whatever you want all the time and other people have to work for you? That's stupid. So humility is kind of the first step, right? The next step is temperance. That's like balancing your life a little bit. That's like regulating yourself. It's breaking out of these vices. It's acquiring these good habits. It's de-stimulating your day-to-day life, bringing balance to your life, a level of regulation, teaching you the ability to control yourself. When you've got a good sense of humility and you now live a fairly temperate life, I suppose, you live a good life of temperance, you're now able to consistently fulfill your duty. This is where diligence comes in. Your diligence it's kind of like your responsibility as a man. It's what you ought to do. It's your responsibility within the world. It's your contribution towards your family and your community. It's the sometimes hard work, sometimes uncomfortable and tedious challenges and missions that you have to do as a man. It's your duty. It's your due diligence. Once you become a diligent man, that's when you can start to practice stewardship. Stewardship is leadership, it's guidance, it's teaching. You're humble enough, you live a temperate life, you fulfill your due diligence, you work hard, you produce the work that you need to for your community. Now you are fit to be a leader. Now you can lead your family. Now you can lead your community. Now you can lead everybody out of an issue. Once you've achieved this stewardship, now you can bring charity. Now you're in the position. I mean, you can bring charity even if you're not humble yet or whatever. But this is just the order that I like to go in, right? It makes a little bit of sense to me, and it might make some sense to you. But you can give charity now. You can give charity in the form of your love. You can give charity in the material sense, in terms of money to people who need it. In any way possible, you can now give charity, and that's a beautiful thing for a man to be able to give. And I put polarity last because it kind of, I suppose you don't really need the others. I suppose you can. You need them in the sense that it's like, yeah, they're going to make it easier. They're going to make it better, right? If you live a life of diligence, for example, if you're constantly fulfilling your work and constantly fighting towards your mission, then you're going to be happier. You're going to be more fulfilled. You're going to find it easier to love your woman properly. And humility too, of course. And yeah, so I suppose it should be last, yeah, because I think you're able to polarize a woman best when you have the 5 other virtues, right? Because when you have the 5 other virtues, you basically become like if you have the 5 other virtues and then you're also like big and jacked, right? And you've got like a fucking nice beard, or like clean shaven or whatever. You've got like some money maybe, you've got like the fucking nice clothes and shit. You are the upper echelon of man. Right, not many women are going to be able to reject you. You're going to be like, maybe this is, I'm kind of being proud by talking like that, so I'm kind of going against the very first virtue. But either way, this is the sort of order, and these are the 6 virtues that we teach on this channel. And these virtues, I think, encompass absolutely everything that you need as a masculine man. For example, humility encompasses the very beginning of self-improvement, as I said, acknowledging that you need help and in getting the help. Temperance encompasses quitting porn addictions. It encompasses starting to meditate, starting to live a de-stimulated, regulated life. Diligence encompasses hard work and discipline, so does temperance. Temperance also encompasses discipline. Stewardship encompasses leadership. It encompasses masculine guidance. Courage as well, because you need to be brave in order to lead. All of these virtues encompass everything that it means to be a good masculine man, at least on like the mental, sort of spiritual basis. You could add health in there. But no, I think health would be within temperance, right? Living a balanced life, that would be like healthy, right? You would like, part of temperance, in order to live a life of temperance, you would want to be going to the gym, you'd want to be eating healthy, you'd want to be getting fit. Yeah, I'll be going into detail on all 6 of these virtues on my channel, which is kind of like I'm selling myself short. But if you do disagree and like you don't think that all of these 6 virtues are good or whatever, I would say that you could go based off of a different sort of structure. I have 2 options for you if you disagree with me. 1, go on ChatGPT, just search up, give me a list of masculine virtues, go through them, and whichever ones make sense to you, whichever ones are morally good and sort of in line with rational reason. I shouldn't just say ones that make sense to you, because you're going to be biased and you're imperfect, just like myself. And so you might read one and you might disagree with it just because it doesn't suit you and stuff. Maybe I trust all of you to not do that. But just in case, go on to ChatGPT or something and just type in, give me a list of masculine virtues, go through them, ask yourself which ones of these are good, right? Which ones of these are good ones for me to really prioritize, really think about every single day and live in accordance to. Failing that, I would go based off of the Bible's virtues. I'm not Christian, so I'm not like, my religious sort of journey is, my spiritual journey is a little bit up and down. I don't know where I'm going, but what I'm saying to you is I'm not preaching God to you right now. That's not my intent. But the Bible does have incredible virtues. For example, humility, chastity, charity, temperance, gratitude, I think is in there. Is gratitude in there? Yeah, gratitude, and I forget the other two. But you can search for that. But that's a good place to start, I think, because Christianity is a beautiful religion. But what it means to live a virtuous life is to look at this list. Look at this list of virtues. Either my list, either a list that you've created yourself, the list of the Bible, and to prioritize it above all. Everything, absolutely everything. Because guess what? Everything is going to play into it anyway. Everything. If you're prioritizing work, for example, right? Just prioritizing diligence is and prioritizing all of the virtues is going to make you work anyway. It's going to, when you prioritize diligence as a virtue, you're acknowledging, I need to work, I should work, I ought to work, it's what I ought to do, it's what I should do right now, it's my responsibility as a man, and so you're going to work anyway. So to be a virtuous man means to acknowledge this list and live by it every single day as best you can. Put it on your fucking wall, to be honest with you. Write the my 6 virtues or whatever virtues on the wall and just follow them with every decision you make. Obviously you're not going to be perfect, but like just try and remember it, try and think of it. Maybe put it as like your lock screen or something, right? Try and remember it from day to day. Does this make me a man of charity, you know, doing this? Does this make me a man of temperance if I, you know, go and look at booty on fucking TikTok? Does this make me a humble man if I do this? Does this, you know, is this my due diligence or not? Am I being lazy here? When you live a life like this, you genuinely come across as more masculine, because all of these virtues are very masculine virtues. When you live a virtuous life and you are a virtuous man, when you talk to women, when you talk to friends, when you talk to anybody, when you communicate with people, they automatically perceive you as a masculine man, especially just from like the humility. If you're just humble, they perceive you as a masculine man, because being humble is hard. Having humility is a difficult thing. It's very uncomfortable. Pride is comfortable. Humility is not. That's why humility is so great. I think I spoke about it in another video. I don't know if I've posted it or not yet, but I do speak about humility more in depth in another video. Living every single day by a certain sort of code of conduct that permits you from self-serving, from being lazy, from just being a horrible man, is what's going to make you feel more masculine, and then in turn is going to make you appear more masculine, because as we said, 95% of how you socially appear is going to be on autopilot mode. This autopilot mode goes off the bases of feelings and self-perception. When you live as a virtuous man, you feel like a masculine virtuous man, and also you perceive yourself as a masculine virtuous man because you're very consistent. This will make feminine women fall in love with you, guaranteed that you'll get pub after this. No, but I think this is like the next huge step for young men. I think there is a 1% of men, right, and these are the men that have achieved, you know, great physiques, and they're, you know, like fucking 6'6" or whatever, huge jacked physique, and they got money and stuff. You should still go for that. Obviously not the 6'6", you can't control your height and stuff, but you should go for the things that you can control physically, materialistically, because they will higher your status. They will also make you feel great. But I think living a virtuous life and being a virtuous man, it tops it all. It turns you, if you have all of the 1% traits and you have the 0.1% traits of being a virtuous man, you're unbeatable. Like, I think that's like the perfect balance, right? If you want to learn more about virtue, this is exactly what my channel is going to be focused around. My channel hasn't been focused around virtue forever. This is something that, like, if you go back to my recent videos, like my previous videos, I think I've got like 20 odd up now. I've kind of been bouncing all over the place. One minute I make a video about like procrastination, and I make a video about like masculine influences or whatever, because I haven't known which kind of, what like specifically I want to teach. If you're into business, like I didn't know which kind of niche that I wanted to go into. But I finally found it. It's being a virtuous man. This is the thing that I'm most passionate about. about self-improvement is virtue and becoming a virtuous man. So this is exactly what my channel is going to be about from now. So if you do want to learn more, help a brother out, go downstairs. Go downstairs, what am I talking about? Scroll down, I suppose, yeah, go downstairs and hit the subscribe. Like actually in your house right now, walk downstairs before you subscribe. I don't know why, just do it. I've been Ray. Adios. Yeah, sure, we'll go with Spanish today.